activist investor Ryan Cohen has a new target in his sights. The Chewy founder and GameStop chairman reportedly taking a big stake in Alibaba, looking for the Chinese e-commerce giant to amp up its share buyback program. Shares of Alibaba have nearly doubled since hitting a 52-week low this past October, but are still down more than 60% from their all-time high. For more on Cohen's deal, let's bring in Spencer Jacob. He's the editor of the Wall Street Journal's Heard on the Street column. Spencer, great to have you with us. He's also, by the way, the author of the book, The Revolution That Wasn't, GameStop, Reddit, and the Fleecing of Small Investors. So the perfect person to talk to about this. Yes, he could have already made a bundle on this. But, I mean, who does he think he is if he's approaching this as an activist investor, basically taking on Beijing when the company has already said, you know what, we're with you, Beijing, in terms of the common prosperity message. Why does he think that he could restore or help restore profitability and revenues to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, I mean, I think today's action says it all, Melissa. Look, the stock was down 1.5% today after the news came out in the Journal. NASDAQ was up slightly. Shanghai Composite was flat. So the stock underperformed. And that's because the Chinese don't care about apes. I mean, it would look at the relative size of this company, too. I mean, it's, GameStop was, at the time that he announced his stake in September of 2020, 700 times, or 1/700th as valuable as Alibaba is today. Bed Bath & Beyond, when he showed up in that stock last year in the spring, was about 0.5% as big as Alibaba. So it's a much bigger company, and he can't influence them, and he doesn't have the same voting rights, and there's not the same short interest. So they're unimpressed. And while it might be a good investment, and he might be up, if you bought in last summer, he's probably up 10 to 15%. Alibaba's up 30% year to date, and it might be a good long-term holding. I don't think that he can really influence the company.
What is his standing in the Reddit community? I mean, at one time, he was probably meme lord. And after exiting abruptly the Bed Bath & Beyond position, I don't know what you would call it, the opposite of lord. He was hated basically by a lot of Reddit folks. Where does he stand right now? I mean, when you read the headline, did you think, oh, that means that this many people could follow him in potentially? Not necessarily moving the needle on the stock, but you could have some sort of retail flow into the name.
When I saw it, I didn't think that we'd see a lot of retail flow. I did expect the stock to be surprised, and we didn't even get that. And so, what's his standing? I mean, the thing is that these apes are a very forgiving bunch because they're they're the sad sacks of the stock market. They wind up getting dumped on a lot. And, whether it's Ryan Cohen or Elon Musk or whoever, they tend to forgive people who they once revered. I mean, he really treated them badly the way you look at Bed Bath & Beyond shook out, because he kind of ramped it up with his disclosures over the summer. And then all of a sudden it was reported that he was out. So he made a very tidy profit for himself at the expense of a lot of naive people. That doesn't mean that he's not influential, because people still watch what he does. But this is just too big of a fish to fry for him, I think, in terms of size and just in terms of having any influence over the Chinese. Apes don't matter. I think you need like King Kong to move Alibaba, not apes.
It's the line of the day. Spencer, always great to speak with you. Thank you. Spencer
Thanks.
Jacob of the Wall Street Journal. Apes are also very forgiving of being taken in the stock market and going back in. I mean, we're seeing it right now and I'm sure that we're going to get plenty of hate tweets about this. We're seeing it now, though, with the resurgence of these stocks that had been once great trading vehicles, probably wronged many people, and now are back.
Yeah, look, I understand that there are people that are aggrieved and they have reasons to be aggrieved. And sometimes there are firms that are selling short stocks. They don't have them taken the bar. But, the stories that got the most attention were broken companies that were absolutely busted. You had a couple guys come in and really run roughshod on what they were able to do with liquidity and move prices around. I love the title of Spencer Jacobs' book. I mean, that is fantastic. And I think the title, I'll let that title speak for itself. And I think a lot of retail people are very smart investors that should not and were not chasing this guy.